Another type of loop that Apex supports is a for loop. And believe me, you will be writing a lot of for loops in your day-to-day job. And this generally is the favorite loop of most of the programmers. The reason most of the programmers love the for loop is because of its simplicity. The for loop has a loop code block like all the other loops out there, but in the for loop declaration itself, you have the variable declaration statement as well, where you can initialize your variable. So the statement that we used to write before our loops, where we used to give the year value as 1100, is now part of the for loop statement itself or the for loop declaration itself. We also have our condition within the for loop declaration statement, and we also have our variable increment statement within the for loop declaration statement. So all these three essential statements for any loop are part of the declaration statement itself in a for loop. So that makes it very easy to understand. And obviously, this makes our code more readable as well. Now, here in this example, you can assign your years value within the same statement. You can give your condition within the same statement or the same declaration statement. And you can also write your increment statement as well within the declaration statement. Now, how does a Apex compiler know which one of these is a declaration statement, which one of these is a condition, and which one of these is an increment statement? So they are always specified in the same order. The first statement is always the declaration statement. The second statement is always the condition, and the third statement is always the variable increment statement. And these three different statements are separated by these semicolons. So when you put these semicolons, the Apex compiler knows that one statement ends here and the next statement starts. So this is how a for loop works. Now, very similar to the while loops, the for loop also checks the condition first before it executes your code block. So it will check your year condition first and then only it will go into the code block and start checking for the leap year. So let's go back to our developer console and implement a for loop. Let's modify our leap year challenge one last time, and this time instead of using the while loop, we'll be using for loop. So we'll use our existing code as an example, and we'll be changing only few things here just to change this while loop to for loop. So if you remember the syntax of a for loop, let me write it down here. It looks like this. First you have your variable declaration statement, then you have a semicolon. After the semicolon, you have your loop condition, then you have one more semicolon, and then increment statement. So this is how a normal for loop looks like. And then inside you have your loop code block. So our variable declaration statement, we already know this is here. So we'll simply copy this variable declaration statement as is and paste it here. However, you can leave this statement as well and keep it blank in for loop and declare it before the for loop. But that doesn't make any sense. So it's better that we copy our statement and declare it within the for loop itself. The second thing is our condition, which is this one. The year should be less than or equals to 2000. So let's paste it here. And the third one is increment statement, which is a simple statement like year plus plus. So that's it. Let's remove this statement from here and let's copy our while loop code block. Just leave the last increment statement because we don't want this one. We have already got it inside our loop declaration itself. Let's paste our code, remove this line as well. And I think we are good. let's remove all this unnecessary code now, and we'll still use our last line, which is the year value after the loop. So what this for loop will do, it will use the year value as 1100, which is the base value for the year in this loop, and it will keep on executing till the time the year value is greater than 2000. And after each execution of this loop code block, it will increment the year's value by itself. So you don't have to declare this year increment statement here at the bottom of this loop code block. It's not necessary. You can directly do it in your for loop declaration itself. So let's execute this code, and it says variable does not exist on line number 29. Where is it? Oh yes, the reason why we are seeing this error is because we are using this year value here, or our year variable, which is not available outside the for loop. Because since we are declaring it within our for loop declaration statement, the scope of this variable is only between the line 11 and 27, which is the for loop code block, and this is this one. And as soon as your compiler reaches to line number 28, it doesn't recognize this year variable anymore. So that's why we are getting this error. So either we can comment this line and execute our code, or we can bring this variable declaration statement before the for loop, so which gives us a global scope, and we should be able to use this inside our debug statement. So first I'm going to comment my last line and then execute it. After that, we'll try the other way as well. Let's click on debug only, and we are getting similar result. Let's go back to our anonymous window, and here this time let's bring this variable declaration statement on the top, and then you can leave this statement blank here. So this means you can leave a blank space before your semicolon. So the for loop is smart enough to recognize that you don't have a variable declaration statement within this for loop, or maybe your variable is coming from the top. And now you can uncomment your last line, and here you should be able to use your year value. Let's comment this debug statement as well, because it's gonna keep on increasing our log size. Perfect, we are getting the similar results. And let's check out our last line as well. And here we see the year value after the loop is 2001. So all these loops that we have checked out so far, they work in very similar way. They all have a base value, which is this one. They all have a condition, and then they all have an increment statement. It doesn't always have to be year plus plus. You can also add maybe like 5 years in a go, and maybe like if you want to process after each 5 year, that also you can do. So your increment statement could be anything. It's just like it should increase the value of the year so that you will be approaching your conditional statement. If you never approach your conditional statement here, you will never come out of the loop and your code will keep on executing forever. So this is all in this video. In the next video, we'll be doing a challenge on the for loops.